Hi guys, it's that time of week again. It's Monday, it's book review day, and this week we're looking at Hired by James Bloodworth. Now, we did a book on this channel before called The New Poverty by a fellow called Stephen Armstrong, and I gave that a very, very positive review. I found it shocking, even for someone like me. I consider myself a leftist, a socialist, and I consider myself quite clued up on the plight of the poor, the working class, whatever you want to, whatever term you prefer to use for them. But this is one step further. In this one, James Bloodworth decided he was going to actually inject himself directly into that lifestyle. Where Stephen Armstrong was interviewing and doing those kind of things and talking to people who lived that life, James Bloodworth put himself directly in it. And he took a series of low-paid jobs, all the way from working in the Amazon warehouse to driving for Uber to working in a call centre for Admiral, all the way up to cash in hand work between jobs, working as a manual labourer, just to keep the money flowing, keep it coming, and things like that. And he details the plight of working in that economy, how sometimes when companies require a CRB check, you have to wait up to 2 months with no money, waiting for that CRB check, because the police are so overstretched and so cut back and so overwhelmed that it just takes all that time to get your details back and be able to go to work. As well as that, he details the violation of basic dignity, basic human rights, particularly in Amazon. Amazon doesn't come off looking all too good out of this book. He details how he found, while working in a warehouse, he found bottles of human urine on the shelves because Amazon were penalising people for taking too many toilet breaks. And how you get a half-an-hour break, as required by law, every 10-hour shift you do. But by the time you've walked from your spot where you're working in the warehouse, which is the size of 10 football fields, by the time you've walked out of there through the security checkpoints that Amazon has set up so you don't steal anything, you have to get, physical searches, metal detectors and the like. And the time you get through that, you get to the cafeteria, you've got about 5-6 minutes to actually rest and recuperate and have something to eat or a cup of tea. So they don't come out looking too great. Admiral comes out looking not so bad. They don't come out looking fantastic. They don't come out looking like total tyrants either. They come out looking like a company that isn't the best to work for. They don't pay the best. They don't have the best sort of benefits for workers. But he does say that it felt like Admiral were genuinely trying to make themselves an enjoyable place to work. A sense of community, a sense of camaraderie, if you will. And it felt like Admiral was trying to promote that sort of atmosphere. So they come out looking okay. Uber doesn't come out looking so good. He drives for Uber about 2/3 of the way through the book, and he says how Uber claims that they pay their employees, their drivers, £16 an hour. That's what they will earn on average, and on paper that's factually correct. But once you deduct expenses, petrol, the cost of hiring a car, the cost of the CRB check, excuse me, the cost of tax on the car and insurance and any parking tickets you may accumulate, the money you've lost by driving to and from jobs, because they don't count that, the money you've lost travelling backwards and forwards, you're actually earning per hour less than a minimum wage. So they don't come out looking too good. And he also details how them and other companies in the gig economy actually class their employees as self-employed. So they haven't got to take on the responsibility of paying minimum wage, of making sure they've got all the rights, holidays, sickness pay, etc., etc. And he details the court cases surrounding Uber, which were taking place around the time he was writing this book. So they don't come out looking all too fantastic. And it's very fascinating to read this and read the actual lives of some people who actually live this day by day. Now, he admits he's quite lucky because he could have just fallen back on any money he had in the bank already from his work as a journalist and whatever else he does, if things didn't go according to plan, if he needed to. Most of the people doing these jobs don't have that. They haven't got that safety net. They literally have paycheck to paycheck what they earn at Uber, at Amazon, at Admiral, at wherever they're working. And he openly admits that, and he openly says, this is the life that I could have had, but luckily enough I made a break and struck out on my own and made my own name for it, sort of thing. So go ahead and read that. That's one of the books where I had to get my old highlighter out because it was fascinating. I've got a bit of highlighted here. The Joseph Rowntree Foundation calculated in 2015 that a single person needed $17,100 a year before tax to receive a minimum standard of living. My annual salary at Amazon before tax was $12,740. So they're paying way behind the standard for living. They also worked as a care worker, and in his contract it said Care Watch does not recognise any trade union. He also says, let me see, of how some companies actually persecute you for joining a union. Obviously they can't sack you for joining a union, that is against the law, but they push you out, give you so little hours or so many hours, or work you so hard or work you so little that eventually you go of your own accord. There's the stuff about the DBS checks. It used to be called CBR checks. Many workers who undergo the check are left in limbo for months on end while they wait to be given the all clear by overstretched police forces. It says here, I had a job but was prevented from going out to work, not by my own idleness, irresponsibility or poor decision making, but by the incompetence of a state which was being cut to the bone. So that I found very interesting, how he actually brought in outside, not just workers' rights and payment and holiday and sickness rights, but other cuts that were being cut back and affected people's works that you wouldn't think that would affect people and how they work. He also spent a little time homeless, a little bit of time sleeping with homeless people in doorways and such, and it is horrendous to hear, horrendous. So that was James Bloodworth, Hired. Go ahead and read that, pick it up. Very, very fascinating read. Very fascinating to read how these people actually live. And sometimes I think my job's bad, and I may just use this as a reference point. I may have it a lot worse. So that's worth a read. Hired, James Bloodworth. Thanks for watching. I shall see you in the next video. Adios.